Welcome to lecture number 4 on the Zohar. Thank you for your interest in this podcast, and I look forward to studying this incredibly powerful and important work together. If those of you that have been following along and have studied together with me the last lecture, lecture 3, would remember that chapter 3 of the introduction. So remember, we're right now studying the introduction to the Zohar and dividing it into chapters. Chapter 3 was stated by Rabbi Elazar, the son of Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Shimon, who is the son of Yochai. That's Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, right? So he is um, traditionally the traditional author associated with the Zohar. His son Elazar, Rabbi Elazar, who's known as Rabbi Elazar, the son of Rabbi Shimon, throughout the Talmud, had stated a really interesting discourse regarding the terms of mi and ma. Mi is the Hebrew word for who, and ma is the Hebrew word for what. And Rabbi Elazar's discourse was it was a very interesting discourse, and it kind of followed a similar path to what the traditional Jewish philosophers, the philosophy found and expressed throughout the Talmud and Chazal, in the well-known parts of Jewish tradition. The idea that ma refers to what, meaning the things that we can point to, the things that we can see, the things that we can identify, was created by me, which is the who we cannot identify. The me being above and beyond the heavens, the God whom we can only say who is that, but we cannot identify, we cannot describe, we cannot understand, we cannot perceive, who created the ma, which is that which exists beneath the realm of the heavens, that which we can see, including, of course, the sun, the moon, the stars, and everything we see in the world around us. That is the what. That is the what that we can point to, identify, and then ask questions about and say, what is this? What is that? In other words, we can see it. Now, in this next chapter, Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, is going to take that discourse and carry it to a much different level, to another level, to a higher level, a level which will kind of, in many ways, introduce one of the most basic idea of the Zohar, the idea that the godliness, or the existence of the spiritual power of God is not only above the heavens, in other words, outside of our reach, beyond our ability to comprehend, but it is enveloped and contained and intertwined within the world that we see. I'm giving this as a little introduction, and he is going to teach this concept, this idea, to his son Elazar in chapter 4, which we're about to learn today. So Amar Rabbi Shimon said, Elazar b'ni, my son Elazar, pisok milach, stop speaking the way you're talking. V'yiskelei setima deraza ilah devna amal yaden, and then allow there to be revealed a special secret, a special mystery, a special elevated, high, lofty secret, which people in this world don't know yet. In other words, what you told us before was good, but it was things that people know already. That is kind of standard philosophy. We, in this book, the Zohar, and in our discussions here, are going beyond that to special secrets which are not yet known. Shasik Rabbi Elazar. So Rabbi Elazar was quiet. Wow, this is something I want to hear, something I want to listen to. And Bacha Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon started to cry. And the Zohar is here painting an image of an emotional encounter, an encounter with something beautiful, something profound, something so wonderful that can only be expressed in a cry of a human being, a cry which is something when we're overwhelmed with emotion that we have no words to express. And he waited a minute. He was quiet for a moment. Then Rabbi Shimon said, Elazar, ma Eila. What does it mean when it said Eila? In other words, before we said Ru'umi bara Ela was a quote from the verse in Isaiah, was look at the heavens and see who created Ela, these. And Elazar, before Rabbi Elazar said that he, God, was the one who created Ela, these, the things that we can see, the things that we can touch and feel, describe and see. Even the celestial bodies are still things that we can see, we can identify, we can measure, we can calculate their locations, etc. But what does it mean when it says these? Itema kochvaya umazole, if you say that it's referring to the stars and the constellations, which is what Rabbi Elazar said that it referred to. Ha'is chazon tamon tadir. These are things that we always see. Everyone sees these things. It must mean something deeper. A rationalist, of course, would answer and say, yeah, that's exactly what it means. Mi baraela, who created these things that we are seeing, that we are looking at, that we are wondering. And Rabbi Shimon says, no, it must be something deeper than that. Uvama isberiu, it is true that it was created through ma. Those are part of the realm of the world of ma, of the what, meaning the things that we can see and describe. Kamade atamar, just like you said, that's true. And like it says, bidvar Hashem shamayim nasu. It was with the word of God that the heavens were created. So yes, it's true that God, through the power of ma, created all of these things that we see in front of us. But al milen setimin lo lichtav ela da'is galia ihu. But if it was referring to it cannot be referring to things that we cannot see, because it would not have said Ela, would not have said these. These implies that we're looking at something, we're seeing something. So what's going on here? If it's true what I'm telling you, Rabbi Shimon says, that it must be referring to something deeper, something more profound, but on the other hand, we can still see it. So what is it? So he says, so I'm wondering, what could it be? What could it be that when I see the world around me, there's something more to it? I can see this world around me, but there's something more to this world around me. What is this? Ela Raza Da, this special secret, La Escalia, right? I did not know. It wasn't revealed to me. Bar Yomachad, except for one day. In other words, after wondering about this for many times, the Havina al Kefiyama, I was sitting at the seashore. The seashore is, of course, a place where our minds are naturally start to wonder about the vastness of the world around us. Times when we wonder, is there more to what I'm seeing? The grandeur and the beauty of what I see, there's something more in it. There's something special about it. V'asa Eliyahu, and Eliyahu, Elijah, came to me, v'amarli, and he said to me, Rebbe, my teacher, Yadat, Mahu, do you know what this is, right? Mi Baraela, do you know what this is when it says Mi Baraela, who created these things? Aminole, I said to him, Elaine Shemaya v'chelehon, Ovadad Kuchabricho. This refers to the heavens and all of the hosts of the heavens, all which were the stars and everything. The Isle Lebar Noshli Staklabahu, that human beings can actually look at them, we can see them, we can experience them. In other words, Rabbi Shimon's first answer was, right, exactly what his son Elazar said. The Ela, these things are referring to the things which I see, touch, and touch. Well, in some cases, touch. The stars we can't touch, but we can see, we can experience their light and their grandeur. Ulivracha Leksiv, right? And uh right, and to bless God based on the wonder that we see when we see them. As it says, Ki as it says in Psalms and Tehillim, chapter 8, verse 2, it says, Ki I can see your heavens, the creations of your hands, of your handiwork. Adonai Adonenu Ma'adir Shimcha B'chol Aretz. God, our master, how grand and how wondrous is your name in the entire land. But Elio told me it was more than that. Amar Li, he said to me, Ribi, teacher, master, Mila Stima Havakame Kuchabrichu, right? There is a special secret that existed before God. The Goleb Mesifta Ilah, and he revealed this special secret in the special school up in heaven, the special place where we, the angels, so to speak, study in heaven before God. And he told us this vidahu, and this is the special secret. B'shato destima dechol stimin ba'alis galia, at the time when the secret of all secrets, of course, God himself, the hidden of all hiddens, Baalis Galia, wanted to be revealed in this world. Right away, you're getting the feeling God wanted to be revealed in this world. He didn't want to create a world that he was separate from. He wanted a world within which he would be revealed. Avad Bereisha Nakuda. So in his creation, he made a point, a spot. The similarity to this and the scientifically described Big Bang, to the extent that science or anyone can describe that moment, is remarkably astounding. That the understanding of the creation of the world, he made a dot, a spot, a point, chada, 1 point, v'das tolik lemeve machshava, and that point eventually became a thought. So there was a point that was being, that was physical existence, but that physical existence had within it something spiritual, a machshava, a thought being something spiritual, something intangible. So from the moment tangibility was created, in that point from which the entire universe was created, intangibility existed within it, that thought. And then he started to draw within that point all kinds of drawings: stars, suns, moons, universes, galaxies, solar systems, and of course, eventually the planet on which we live. And he engraved in with it all kinds of engravings. He made earth, he made all kinds of elements and water and the moon and the shine and the light and the sound and everything that we know about the universe around us. The aglif go butzina kadisha, and but it was more than that. He didn't just create those things, but within those things, he made a special holy flame. Flame being something intangible, something within everything, a flame, a spark, an energy that burns within everything that's physical, right? Stima glifu de chad siura stima kodesh kadishin binyana amika, a holy special design from which a wondrous creation issued forth, migo machshava, from within that thought. So that thought, that intangible thought, that spirituality, that special spirituality was within all of that physicality. The ikre mi sherusa, and that is the me, that is the who, right? That is existent within this world. Rabbi Shimon is saying something remarkable here. He's saying something that is really the basis of all mysticism, that within all the physical world we see around us, there's more to it. There's a spiritual spark within it. That's the Elah. That's the Elah that we can see. We can see beings, we can see creations, we can see celestial bodies, we can see our own bodies, we can see the world around us. But within it is that spark, is that light, is that spiritual power, which is ultimately the machshava, the thought of God, so to speak, right? This is giving life and light to this edifice which we see around us, which is the universe. Kayama velo kayama. So it exists, but it doesn't exist. It exists because it's there. It doesn't exist because we cannot measure it the same way. We can measure a mountain and say how tall it is, what elements it's made out of, what's growing on it, so on and so forth. But what the spiritual power within it, we can't measure, but it's there, right? Omek v'sasim bishma. It is deeply buried, and we don't even know what to call it. We don't even have a name for it. Lo ikre ela mi. That is me. That is the who. This is the spirit that we see within the world around us. So you don't have to go, like you, Elazar, thought, beyond the heavens to a place that we can't imagine, that we can't see, that we know nothing about, and ask who. Even within the world around us, there's a me, there's a who. There's a who, meaning, who is this? What is this? I cannot describe this. I cannot see it. I cannot feel it, but I know that it's there. Baal iskaya ul iskare bishma, right? It wanted to be revealed. It wants to be called by a name. When you call something a name, you're starting to define it. You're starting to master it. You're starting to give characteristics to it. It wanted to do that. So in order to do that, and so how could it do that in this world, this physical world? How can the spirituality be seen and be called a name, but nonetheless remain unseen and remain spiritual and not physical? So islabash bilavush yikar denahir, it dressed itself in a beautiful clothing of light, uvara ela, and it created the entire universe around us so that we can look in the universe around us and seek the spirituality and see it. Visolik ela bishma, and it called it Ela. Now it got a name. It got a name, Ela. And the special thing, it chabrun asvan elain be elain, the me, the who, the mem, and the yud became attached to the Ela, to the these that we see. So the spiritual power and the physical power became attached to each other. V'ishtilim b'shma Elohim, and it became whole with the name Elohim, which is the Aleph Lamed Hey of Ela and the Yud Mem of me. Elohim is a word which we say refers to God. So God is not only something that's up there that we can't comprehend, that we can see. This is clearly a differentiating itself from the rationalist philosophers, specifically, most famously, of course, Maimonides, who understand God as a concept that we can't, that has that's totally separate, totally different, completely out there. The mystics of the Zohar are coming to tell us, no, 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 it's there, it's here, it's within the physical world that's around us. Ad lo bara ela lasolik bishma Elohim. Until he actually made this creation, he wasn't even God yet. And this is an extremely powerful statement. It's like saying that God wasn't really even God, not in the sense that we know and experience God, right? Until he created this world and manifested himself within it. Those people that transgressed and did the sin, the terrible sin of the golden calf, they were looking for this Ela in this physical world, and they made this terrible mistake, but they did have some understanding of this concept. Al Raza dina amru Ela lach Yisrael. That's why they said when they looked at the calf, Ela, this is your God, Israel. Of course, they were mistaken because God was not in that calf. God does not want to be represented by physical forms, right? But the idea they knew, the idea they understood, the idea of Ela. Uchemod ishtataf mi be'ela, and in the same way, the me, the who, the God, the one that we know is there, that we experience, but we can't describe, we can't feel, and we still ask the question, me, is mixed into the Ela that we do see, that we can measure, which creates Elohim, God. So godliness now is experienced within the physical world. Very powerful idea. This is the name which God uses always, forever, for remainder of history. This is the secret which holds up the world, through which the world lasts and and the world is built upon. The world exists based on this power, this powerful idea. And after I heard this idea, Ufrach Eliyahu then flew away, and I know that I could not see him anymore once I heard this idea. It is from him that I learned this tremendous secret, and I learned the tremendous idea and this tremendous concept. Also, Rabbi Elazar Vakulu Chavraya and Rabbi Elazar, the son of Rabbi Shimon, and all of the members of this special group, V'ishtachu kamei, and they bowed before him, and they were so overwhelmed they just fell to the floor. Bachu, and they were crying. V'amru el mali la asina la omal mishma da dayai. If I only had come to the world to hear this incredibly powerful idea, it would have been enough for me. The Zohar is establishing the basis for the ideas which are going to be expressed throughout this book. Beautiful, powerful, incredibly powerful ideas that really permeate the way we think about the world around us, about experiencing spirituality within the physical world around us. This is so appropriate for the introduction to this book, which is the foundation of mysticism. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Looking forward to studying the next chapter, chapter 5, and of course the entire book Zohar together. I wish everyone a wonderful, wonderful day, and a day of experiencing spirituality together. Thank you so much. Again, have a wonderful, wonderful day.